Welcome back to the channel, and in the last video you saw me do this one using 2D AutoCAD. So now I'm just going to switch over to doing 3D AutoCAD. And once again, a special thanks for all the people who are hitting the like and subscribe button. Please keep tuning in as it's giving me motivation. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is where I left off at. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making a new drawing, and you can hit this little plus icon here. I happen to have one already open, which is here. So when you click that plus, it's going to do the exact same thing as this is doing. Alright, so the normal stuff I usually like to do is go ahead and turn off the grid. I turn my ortho on, and then I'm going to make sure I see what running O-snaps I have on. Okay? Now, we can choose to switch over to the 3D portion now, or we can wait a little bit later. And I think I'm going to wait a little bit later. This one is going to be real nice and simple for us. So we're going to create a few different shapes. But we can also do it another way by compounding them on there. But in this case, I'll do the shapes and it should make it a lot simpler for us. Okay, let's start off by creating that L shape, right? So just like we did when we created this in 2D, I'm going to start with the line, and I can also start with the polyline, but I'll just use a regular line. Go across this direction at a distance of 20. Let me zoom out. I need to come down 100. I'll go back this direction 100. Let's go up a height of 20. We'll go back this direction 80. And then see the close, right? Alright, next we're going to go ahead and put a fillet that's located here. So let's use the fillet command. Set the radius. And then set that equal to 10. And we will put that fillet between these two. Alright, I'll go ahead and join these together so you can select them, and then you can select the join icon here. Alright, so that part takes care of the big portion there. Now we have two other small things that are happening. Next thing I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and draw a circle with a radius of 30. And I can decide to cut this in half right now, but I'm just going to leave it there. So what this is going to do is take care of that big portion that's at the top there, that U kind of portion. Alright, so next let's go ahead and do that I guess I want to think of it as a slot, but we can call it that. And it's going to also be with a circle center radius. The radius will be 15. We're going to draw a line from here, going this direction at 35. We'll go up a height of 30, and then back this direction. And I'll just click at this quadrant. Let's go ahead and trim this portion. And then I'll join this together. Alright, so now we have 3 of our shapes that we need. We just need to do one more. And for the last shapes, I can do 2 circles, but in this case, I'm just going to think of it as a revolve, right? So the way that I'll do this is I'll just draw a line, and the overall height of this is going to be that thickness that's kind of cutting through here. So that height will be 20. Alright, remember when we were creating things with revolve, we have to think of it in portions of half of it, right? So we know that the outside circle is 16 as a diameter, and the inside one has a diameter of 12, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and select this line here, choose the copy command, pick a base point here, and then we can do some simple math in our head. Half of 16 should be 8, and then half of 12 should be 6. Alright, so I just typed in both of those numbers. One is 6 and one is 8. I'll go ahead and draw a line from that end point to this one, and the exact same thing on the other end. Okay, the last step I need to do is tell it how deep to go down in this direction, and that depth is sitting at 8. So that's just going to be another offset of 8 going back this direction. Alright, let's go ahead and trim this. So we're going to go to trim. We're going to trim off this line here, this one, here, and then here. Okay, so that's all I need to create my revolve there. Let's go ahead and join this together. All right, now we have all of the shapes we're going to need, right? We have our slot at the bottom. We have our big old circle that's running through the top portion of it. And we do have our little counterbore circles here. All right, so now we're able to, or ready to, I should say, switch over to the 3D drafting portion. So I'll select the fly up here at the bottom. And then I'll go to the 3D modeling. All right, we're going to give it a couple of seconds here just for the icon to change. I'm also going to go ahead and switch over my view here. So let's see, it's still kind of loading up. I think it's got a couple more things to do. But the first thing I want to do is I want to get out of the 2D wireframe. So I want to switch over to anything other than 2D wireframe. And the way that we're going to do that is that I'll come up here and I'll select 2D wireframe. And I'll go to wireframe. And then I'll go ahead and click on this little corner here. And I'm waiting on this to catch up. It looks like my computer is running a little bit slow now that I switched over to the 3D portion. But if you give it a little bit of time, it should switch over. Okay, let's go ahead and click the corner here. And now we're ready to start doing this. Okay, so I'll go ahead and extrude this at a height of 120. So that's going to be the first thing I'll do. Go to extrude. Select the object that I want to extrude, which is here, and hit enter. I'll send it down this direction at 120. All right, and I'll start positioning this into the right orientation. So I'm just going to spin this around and take a look at this. Is going to be my front view. So I'll switch my gizmo to a rotate gizmo. Select this shape here. Select the red axis. And then I want to just stand it up. Okay, so now the next thing I need to do is go ahead and I can position this one here at the bottom. So let's just use a regular move. We're going to select this circle. Go ahead and hit enter. We'll go from this midpoint to this midpoint. We'll go ahead and extrude this. Send it all the way through. And as long as this number is greater than 20, it'll be okay. So mine is showing it somewhere around 74. That's fine. I'll just do a left click here. Escape out of that. Do a subtract. I'm going to select the solid that I want to keep first. Go ahead and hit enter. And then you want to select the object that you want to subtract it from. Alright, next let's go ahead and do our circle here along the top. So I'll select that. This time I'll select the green axis to stand this one up. Go ahead and click above it. Then I'm just going to click this midpoint here, or the center. And then I'll place it right on this center, or midpoint I should say. Let's go ahead and extrude this now. So I'll go to the extrude command. Select that circle, enter, send it back this direction, and then do the subtraction like I did before. So I'm going to subtract. Select the object you want to keep first. Go ahead and hit enter. And then select that cylinder that you created. And then hit enter. Alright, now for the last step of this, we need to locate where we're going to put this slot here. Right? Or this counterbore, I should say. Let's go ahead and revolve this first. So let's go to the revolve command, which is located here. I'm going to select the objects that I want to revolve. Go ahead and hit enter. And then here at the bottom, I can either tell it what axis I want or just pick 2 axis points. I'll just pick 2 axis points. So I'm just going to select this endpoint here and tell it to spin it around that endpoint. Go ahead and hit enter. Now I'm going to move this into the right position that I need it. So let's go ahead and set up my move gizmo, since that's what I know I'm going to do. I'm going to select this circle here. I'm going to move it from this front center. And I'll place it at this bottom endpoint, which is located here. Alright, now I'm ready to start using my move gizmo. I'll select this object here, select the green axis. I'm going to aim it this direction, and I'm going to send it this direction 23. Then I'll grab the red axis. I want to send it this way, 20. And then we're going to select the blue axis, and then we're going to bring that up a height of 53. Okay. Next, we'll go ahead and copy this. So I'll just use a regular copy command. Select the shape that I just copied or just created. Hit enter. Pick a base point, which is here. Going back right across this direction. 74. Okay, so once that's in position, go ahead and hit escape. Let's go ahead and take a look at this in shades of gray. So back to the drop down here. Switch it over to shades of gray. Let's do our subtraction. So we're going to subtract. Object I want to keep first, hit enter. Then I'll just put a window around both of these and then hit enter. Alright, so there's my counterboard holes. Last thing I have to do now is do the chamfer parts, and I'm actually finished with the 3D portion of this, right? So I'll go ahead and switch back to a wireframe. Switch over to the solid tab. Underneath the fillet edge, let's use chamfered edge. We're going to select the distance here at the bottom. I'm going to type in 20. Once again, it's going to assume that the other one, but in this case, usually in 2D it would do that. But in 3D, you have to type in both of them. So I'll type in 20 for the second one. And then it says, go ahead and select the edge for me. I'll go ahead and select this edge here, as well as this edge. Looks like it won't let me grab that other edge here. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And then hit enter one more time. Let's go back and see if it'll, I don't know why it's not letting me select both edges, but go back to the chamfered edge. The distance should already be set to 20, so it is. So it should let me select this edge. Go ahead and hit enter. And then one more enter. Then we finally have the two at the bottom. So we have two of them sitting here at 15. Hopefully this one will work a little bit better for us, right? So select that one, go to distance, 15, enter, another 15, hit enter. Go ahead and select the edges. So that edge and that edge. And it says the edge belongs to one face. That is weird. I know in the previous ones it would let me select another edge, but for some strange reason, this one is only allowing me to select one edge at a time. Okay. Go ahead and hit enter on that one. Then I'll hit enter one more time to accept it. Go back to the enter command, and then I'll select this edge here. Enter, and then enter. Okay. Something weird on the 2025 version. Okay. Either way, this shape is now completed. We did the 3D portion of it. Now we're ready to do the drafting, right? So the drafting is going to fly along just like what we normally do. So let's go ahead and switch over to the layout tab. I'll go ahead and delete this viewport. I'll go ahead and draw a new one. So I'm just going to switch back to the home tab. I'll go ahead and create a rectangle. 0, 0, enter. And 17, 11, enter. Looks like it didn't get my 17 in there. Let's try that one more time. So rectangle, 0, 0, enter, 17, 11. Okay. Let's go ahead and offset that. 0.25. Offset it to the inside. Go ahead and hit escape. Next. I'm just going to right click on layout 1. Go up to page setup manager. Modify. Okay. So once this dialog box comes open, I'll select here DWG to PDF. ANSI full bleed 17 by 11. I like to do the window, although extents will work, but I'll just use a window. And I like to select the inside rectangle here. So I'm just going to select that endpoint there, down to this inside one. Go ahead and select center of the plot, and we're going to leave this set to 1 to 1. If you want, you can go ahead and make this monochrome. Go ahead and hit the OK button and then close. Alright, so once you have this, you're ready to go ahead and put in your base view. So I'm just going to go to Base from Model Space. And once again, we're going to have to give it a second because it's got to go and dig out and kind of basically start creating that 3D. But you'll know when it's done because it'll typically follow your cursor around. So we'll give it a couple of more seconds here. Okay, and it should be following your cursor around. And I'll do that one more time just to make sure that I did it correctly. But you would come here to Base, and then you're going to choose Model Space. And then it should follow your cursor around like it's doing mine. I'll go ahead and select the front view. So that's why I always try to orient my drawing to be in line with how I want it to appear in my drawing. So this is the front view. I'll go ahead and select here. Once I left click, I'll hit enter. I'll bring a view above it, do a left click here, bring a left click here, and one up here in the corner. Go ahead and hit the enter button, and it should draw all of those views for us rather quickly, right? And then we can kind of compare and see if we got, most of this stuff correct on our 2D drawing that we did. And it looks like I did. I'm going to go ahead and change this one up a little bit. So I'm just going to select this one, go ahead and hit the edit view button. And let's go ahead and make it smaller first of all. So go from the parent, and no, we don't want that to happen. And let's see what 1 to 40 should get us a little bit smaller. And we're also just going to make it the visible lines. Go ahead and hit OK on that. Okay, so that came in and looked exactly like what we did when we created it in 2D. The rest of the stuff is going to be really simple, and you can kind of refer back to the 2D video that I did on this one if you want to do the dimensioning exactly like the way I did on that one, right? Where I went ahead and set up layers and things of that nature. So I would highly recommend you go over to that video. But for this one, all I'm going to do is just go ahead and put some center marks on here and then just some rough dimensions. So I'm not going to go into all of the character maps and things of that nature that I did to do this one. So once again, I would highly recommend you go watch that video, and I'll make sure I link it at the end of this video if you want to see how to do this type of stuff. But it works exactly the same no matter which one you use, right? Whether you're dimensioning in model space versus paper space. Okay, let's go ahead and put the center marks on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this center EXE. Well, you know what? We're creating this as a 1 to 1. I think leaving it at the 0.25. Well, no, let's just go ahead and make it 3. Okay, which actually should be big in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and change it back to 0.12. Okay. So let's jump to the annotation. Let's go ahead and do some center marks, which we know we have located here, as well as here. And then we have some bisecting ones, right? So we're going to go ahead and put that one between this line here. I'll just hit the enter button just to speed things up. We do have one that's located here. Also one that's located up here at the top. And let's go ahead and put that center mark on here. If you want these to show up, the same rules apply. Go ahead and select them. Do a right click, go to properties. And then what I usually do with here is I go to the line type scale, and I'll make it usually 0.5, and that'll usually bring them up. This one is going to be a little bit smaller, but we're going to select here, grab this square, and place it right here on the front. Okay, so dimensionings. Real quick dimension style. Just go to D-enter. And I know some of these videos have been getting long, and that's why this one I'm trying to make a little bit shorter on purpose. Let's just go to modify. We'll use the standard method here. So once I hit the modify button, waiting on this dialog box, I'll start with the primary units. Go ahead and suppress my trailing zeros, and you've seen me do this in many other videos. This one I'll leave alone. It's 1:1 since we're using paper space. Underneath the text option here, let's go ahead and make our text 0.125. And then underneath the symbols and arrows, we'll go ahead and turn that off, right? So we'll go ahead and make that to be none. Okay, so after I do that, go ahead and hit the OK button and hit close. And now we're ready to do our dimensions. So I'll do some real quick rough dimensions on this one. But all I'm going to do is just hit the enter button just to speed it up just a little bit. But you can make it look exactly like the other drawing that we did. And if you want, full details of how I did that, yes, I would highly recommend you go see that video there. Okay, I'll just go ahead and put a couple of more on here just to show you that it did give me the exact same dimensions as I did when I modeled it. Let's go ahead and make sure that's in line with each other. That looks a little bit off at the bottom. And I know I probably wouldn't have changed this normally, but I want to make sure that that stays in line. Okay. A few more dimensions. Let's see, what do we have here? Is the overall length. Let's do that one more time. Make sure I actually get that endpoint. Let's see what else we got here. Just remember that anytime you're doing the other ones or locating these chamfer dimensions, you have to actually type in either a leader or a quick leader. In the 2D one that I did, I showed you how to use the quick leader. In this one, we can use a multi-leader, which is here. Remember that anytime you do this, you have to set up a style for it. And if I go to the style portion of it, and I'll go ahead and go to standard, let's choose modify. We try to keep everything about as same as we can. So in the leader format here, you see that the size is the exact same size that it is in my dimensioning style. Underneath the leader, the leader structure, you see here the scale, right? So if I had a different scale, you have to make sure that this match. I'm going to go ahead and shrink my landing down a little bit. Let's go ahead and make it like 0.25. The landing is going to be this distance of this line here. And then underneath the contents, let's go ahead and make the text height of it 0.125, because that's what we made it in our dimension styles, right? Go ahead and hit the OK button. And if I want to be a little bit more accurate with this, let's go back and modify this one more step. Is that I can make these leader structure lines. Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm not telling you something that is not on here. Oh, yes. So I can make this first one at an angle of 45, and that's what I wanted to show you, right? So when I click and make my first one, and it just so happened that these chamfers are all at 45-degree lines. So when I hit the OK and close, what I mean by that is if I go to multi-leader, and once again it's using the standard size, I'm going to select this midpoint. It's going to automatically go ahead and select should have selected my first point at a 45-degree. Trying to check, turn the ortho off. And you'll see that now these are at 45 degrees. I'll go ahead and click here. And then I'll give it a second and it should open up in a multi-leader style, right? So from here I can go ahead and type in the 15% dx45 two places. Usually I have my caps lock on. And so yes, we can do that, and it'll keep these all at 45-degree lines. So if that's something that you are interested in, you're more than welcome to use the multi-leaders. I personally like them, mainly because you can, combine multi-leaders and do things of that nature. And let's go ahead and do one more. I guess I wasn't going to show you this, and I'm kind of looking at the time here. And if I can keep it underneath the 30 minutes, I will show you a little bit more. Let's go ahead and put another quick leader on here. And I'm just going to put it here. Go ahead and place it there. It'll open up in my multi-style. And like I did with the other one, I started off with %. Oh, this is the 45-degree one. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and hit escape on this one. No, we don't want that. I'm going to go ahead and delete this multi-leader that I just created. I was creating the other one. So I'll go back to multi-leader. Go ahead and start from that midpoint. Go ahead and click here. Let's go ahead and put the 20x 45 degrees. Remember, that's going to be our %D. 2 places. Okay, and for this one, I actually used the diameter dimension to locate this one. My reasoning behind that is that always, anytime you're creating a diameter circle or even a radius circle dimension, the leader will always point back to the center. So if I did that with a leader, I'll have to try to figure out a way to make sure that it points to the center. And usually that tells me to start at the center and then move that arrow at the end of it. But in our case, we're going to leave it here. I'm just going to double click on it. And I remember or recall telling you in that video, go ahead and type in everything that you need this to be before you go ahead and add your character maps. So this is going to be %C 12, send it through it 2 places. Right? So once again, I did all of my typing first. Then I'll come right here in the front, underneath the symbols. We'll go to other. It should bring up your character map, and give it a second here. And there it is. So from here, always look for GDT. The counter bore one is located here. I'll go ahead and hit the select button, go to copy, come back to my drawing, paste, and then I'll usually use a space bar to get it right in front. Likewise here with the number 8. So I'll select it here. My character map should still be open. I'll go ahead and find the depth symbol. Let's go ahead and delete this one first. Find the depth symbol, hit the select button, hit copy, go right in front of that 8 there, do a Control V. Or you can also right click and go to paste. Both of them will work. Give it a backspace to move it back. Let's go right in the front and do it that way. And the reason I say type in all your text first is that sometimes if you do this, it will change your text style. So anything that you type after that will be something different. But let's go ahead and hit the close. And now you have that done on that one, right? Okay, let's take a look at the overall look at the drawing here, and I can close my properties window here. Everything looks great. Looks like we did everything that we did in the 2D one, except for create layers for this stuff. So once again, if you want to see me do the layers and things of that nature, I would refer you to go back and take a look at that video. All right. But I think that's going to be all for this one. Please let me know if you got any comments, or leave me some comments down at the bottom if I did anything wrong or you want me to elaborate on any other thing. Other than that, I want to just thank you for watching. And once again, I really do appreciate anyone that is watching these videos all the way through and hitting the like and subscribe button. So thank you for watching.